Alright, so before I get into this video about another nail in the coffin of the US dollar or the petrodollar, I mentioned this guy a couple times. He sent me some of his proof silver ounces, AG Silver Dojo, if you remember. And he's like, man, I got these really nice hoodies, you know, sweatshirt hoodies. And it's got, he sent me one. Of course, blue's my favorite color. Blockchain. He's got several designs and other kinds and colors. Gotta give him a little shout out. Just a brother trying to make a couple bucks, get his little business going and stuff. So that's cool. It's AG Silver Dojo. If you go to the products section, you'll see a bunch of them, along with some silver stuff he sells too. About that nail in the coffin again for the dollar. The monetary regimes of China and Russia. This is essentially from Zero Hedge. Two of the world's most resource-rich nations are drawing closer with every passing day. In the latest push for convergence, China has established a payment versus payment, or PvP system. Back when I used to do PvP, that was with World of Warcraft. Player versus player. Not here. For China, Chinese yuan and Russian ruble transactions in a move to reduce risks and improve the efficiency of its foreign exchange transactions. The PvP system for yuan and ruble transactions designed to streamline commerce and currency transactions between the two nations was launched on Monday after receiving approval from China's central bank, according to a statement by the country's foreign exchange trading system. It marks the first time a PvP system has been established for trading the yuan and foreign currencies, said the statement, which was posted on Wednesday on the website of the China Foreign Exchange Trade System. PvP systems allow simultaneous settlements of transactions in two different currencies. According to CFETS, the system would reduce settlement risk as well as the risk of transactions taking place in different time zones and improve foreign exchange market efficiency. Of course, if the two countries had a blockchain-based settlement system, they would already have all this and much more, Zero Hedge actually notes. CFETS said it's, or actually is, I'm trying to think, this might have been, I'm saying it was Zero Hedge, this was actually, I think this was not Zero Hedge actually. The article I'm reading you is from the Economic Collapse blog. Yep. I'm about to say, usually Zero Hedge isn't, you know, pro blockchain, not for whatever reason. You know, anytime it drops down, they mention it. But then again, when it explodes higher, they also mention it too. Speaking of which, I've got a video to do next, or one of the next two videos. Holy crap, have you seen the price of Bitcoin? Ethereum, 340 bucks. Bitcoin, Litecoin touching 60. So, anyways, CFETS said it plans to introduce PvP systems for yuan transactions with other currencies based on China's Belt and Road Initiative and complying with the process of renminbi internationalization. Russia, however, is a top priority. The world's biggest oil producer recently became the largest source of oil for China, the world's top energy consumer. And as you know, the little gold for yuan or whatever deal that the Chinese were just talking about, which we covered about a couple weeks ago or so. To be sure, and that was a couple nails in the coffin of the dollar, petrodollar as it was. To be sure, the monetary convergence between Beijing and Moscow is hardly new. The most notable recent development took place in April when the Russian central bank opened its first overseas office in Beijing on March 14th, marking a step forward in forging a Beijing-Moscow alliance to bypass the US dollar in the global monetary system and to phase in a gold-backed standard of trade. As the South China Morning Post reported at the time, the new office was part of agreements made between the two neighbors to seek stronger economic ties, since the West brought in sanctions against Russia over the Ukraine crisis and the oil price slump hit the Russian economy. At the time, Vladimir Shapovalov, a senior official at the Russian central bank, said the two central banks were drafting a memorandum of understanding to solve technical issues around China's gold imports from Russia, and that details would be released soon. To which we said that if Russia, the world's fourth largest gold producer after China, Japan, and the US, is indeed set to become a major supplier of gold to China, the probability of a scenario hinted by many over the years, namely that Beijing is preparing to eventually unroll a gold-backed currency, increases by orders of magnitude. Furthermore, also around the same time as the Russian central bank was getting closer to China, China was responding in kind with the establishment of a clearing bank in Moscow for handling transactions in Chinese yuan. The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China officially started operating as a Chinese renminbi clearing bank in Russia on Wednesday, and that is this past Wednesday. The Financial Regulatory Authority of China and Russia have signed a series of agreements, major agreements, which marks a new level of financial cooperation, Dmitry Skobelkin, the above-mentioned deputy head of the Russian Central Bank, said. The launching of the renminbi clearing services in Russia will further expand local settlement business and promote financial cooperation between the two countries, he added. Irina Rogova, a Russian financial analyst, told the Russian magazine Expert that the clearing center could become a large financial hub for countries in the Eurasian Economic Union. How many times do I got to say, though? And this goes back probably at least maybe 3 years now, as I'm watching China, Russia, India, these, as they like to call them, Eurasian areas, the BRICS nation, Brazil, Russia, India, China, Why is there nothing in there about United States, the Westerners, America? They are gearing up and have been over the past several years to have their own financial order, if you will, that doesn't seem to care about us one way or the other. Oh, we put sanctions on Russia. See, we're the one that caused the issue in Ukraine. Russia steps in. We don't like that. We can't go forward with our plans. Now we're pissed off. Kind of like Syria. Russia steps in. You guys claim to be fighting ISIS, but you're faking it. You're not really doing it. There's, ISIS appears to be something you guys created. And we're dealing with the real ISIS, which is why you don't like us. We're destroying what you created. That's essentially what Russia's saying. So that's Syria, that's Ukraine, and FYI, it's everywhere else we've been throughout the history of this damn country. From Vietnam, the Korean War, all of it. Iraq, Afghanistan, the whole damn 9 yards. So they're realizing we're going to get to a point where you can put any sanctions or anything you want on any one of us, and it isn't going to do anything. Because we'll have our own system. We'll have our own SWIFT, international trade system, whatever, which, again, China's already created. I've discussed that one at length. So as I read these articles, they come out every now and then. Oh, another nail in the coffin. There's another nail in the coffin. Who's gonna be left to trade with America? Who are we gonna have? The creation of the clearing center and the launch of PVP systems enables the two countries to further increase bilateral trade and investment while decreasing their dependence on the US dollar. It will create a pool of yuan liquidity in Russia that enables transactions for trade and financial operations to run smoothly. In expanding the use of national currencies for transactions, it could also potentially reduce the volatility of yuan and ruble exchange rates. The clearing center is one of a range of measures the People's Bank of China and the Russian Central Bank have been looking at, to deepen their cooperation, Sputnik reported. But one of the most significant measures under consideration is the previously reported push for joint organization of trade in gold. Why? Because like Goldmember, they love gold. In recent years, China and Russia have been the world's most active buyers of the precious metal. On a visit to China last year, the deputy head of the Russian Central Bank, Sergei Shvetsov, said that the two countries want to facilitate more transactions in gold between the two countries. We discussed the question of trade in gold. BRICS countries are large economies with large reserves of gold and an impressive volume of production and consumption of this precious metal. In China, the gold trade is conducted in Shanghai. In Russia, it is in Moscow. Our idea is to create a link between the two cities in order to increase trade between the two markets. First Deputy Governor of the Russian Central Bank, Sergei Shvetsov, told Russia's TASS news agency. So in other words, China and Russia are continuing to shift away from dollar-based trade to commerce, which will eventually be backstopped by gold, or what is gradually emerging as the Eastern Gold Standard, one shared between Russia and China, and which may backstop their respective currencies. I think he meant what may one day do that. Meanwhile, the price of gold continues to reflect none of these potentially tectonic strategic shifts, as China, which has been the biggest accumulator of gold in recent years, likes it. Believe me, China likes $1,300 and lower gold. And all these other countries like $16, $17 or cheaper silver. Of course, silver is back over $17.34 something again today. Get ready for another smackdown. Who knows what's going to happen, right? But after 500,000 of these smackdowns, you know, we're used to it. We're just waiting for the day that our price setting mechanism over here in America becomes irrelevant. That's the day we're looking forward to. Take care.